gentlemen, hello there and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show, a special edition this morning, a unique, special, fun one because it's a pay-per-view weekend here in the wacky world of professional wrestling, and that means, of course, that whenever we have a pay-per-view weekend, it means that it's time for a prediction show here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes, because and we're doing it live this Saturday morning, and as per usual, I am joined by a colleague, a friend, a chum, a bud, if you may, from the world of online podcasting, none other than the Queen of NE. Queen, how are you doing this morning?
Warren, I'm so good. How are you?
I am fantastic. I'm very, very excited. There's a lot of stuff going on this weekend. Like we have Evolve shows. We have AEW, which we're going to be talking about, of course. Plus, on top of that, our friends over at Pro Wrestling Eve are actually live streaming their first, for the first time, live streaming on YouTube, the She One, which is their equivalent of the G1. See, it's the She One because it's an all-women's promotion. It's a pun.
It's fabulous.
Yes.
I love it.
And they're doing that today. So, how can you not be excited about being a wrestling fan these days? It's ridiculous. There's so much stuff.
There's so much stuff. I keep saying 2019 is wild, and I really, truly mean it. I know it sounds stupid, but it really is crazy. And what a time to be a fan, people.
I know.
I love it.
Yeah, people. Such as the people who are joining us here live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes this morning. We got Anthony Gaston, who's here. We have Nathan Coley. Good Guy Dave is here. Benoit. Mags is here. Queen.
Magsy.
And Kristen Ashley is here as well. She's actually covering the Eve show over on over for Bell to Bells at belltobells.com, BELLTOBELLES, and on the Twitter account Bell to Bells. So go follow that if you want to, and just go watch the show at the same time, but not now, or watch it at the same time as us, because we're cool people too, and we're just going to take an hour of your day. You know, Eve has a whole day of wrestling. I mean, you can pop in any time, really. Nothing to say bad about Eve, but I mean, we're important too, is what I'm trying to get.
We are important,
Yes.
Gosh darn it.
We have Tony from Get the Tables podcast who's here. Carlos has joined us. Whole bunch of things. Talkamania's here. My goodness. Whole bunch of people here.
It was lovely.
Lovely crew, lovely time. And if you're watching this on demand, and I hope you do before AEW today, because otherwise our prediction show, as the minute AEW starts, a prediction show is like, it's the least evergreen thing I can do. There's nothing, it just dies. But if you're watching this on right now live, please consider giving the video a thumbs up, or if you're watching it on demand, do so as well. And maybe you're even listening to this on your favorite podcast application. It's going to pop up there. Because the Mr. Warren Hayes Show is available on all podcast apps, just about everywhere. All right. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna start talking about this, and just in case, Queen, just in case, we have one or two people here who are not familiar with your body of work, your enormous quality, high class body of work, because you do class the internet wrestling community up. Tell us about yourself.
Wow.
What is it you do?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you very much. That's so kind. So, hi, I'm Queenie, if you don't know, at the Queen of NE on Twitter. I'm all over there. I love to live tweet and have a good time. I am host of Queen's Court every single Wednesday, one half of the hashtag Queen and Pup Connection with everyone's pal, JPQ, from no particular angle. And it's a really fun little show that I have going on. It's a little different. We do some predictions and reviews too, but I try to take a different perspective on wrestling. Obviously, I'm a lady, so there's that. It's a little different than your typical usual wrestling podcast. So I try to have a lot of fun. And I'm also on DYWTSB, which drops every single Friday. And on Sundays, I do a watch along with Pops from there. So I try to do something a little different and just try to have a lot of fun more. And I love to have fun, and so do you. And that's why I love you. because you just have such a great time with wrestling, and you're a joy to watch and listen to.
Oh,
So
thank you, Queen. We do like to have fun. We're kind of like a lot of wrestlers in WWE. They like to have fun. Michael Cole likes to remind us, such as Heavy Machinery. They like to have fun. I'm like, what? That's so special. Put it in their stats sidebar. God damn it. That's so unique. But yes, you know, and you did mention it. You know, a lot of us are. You know, there's a lot of us out there, and when I say us, you know, middle-aged white dudes doing this, and you know, people like you, Queen. When I say people, I mean women. But I mean,
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
Well, you know, there is a need for more women's voices out there, Queen, and because perspectives are important. You know, Kristen works hard. You know, we have Harmony Cox as well, who writes some fantastic stuff. Laura Morrow. There's a whole bunch of women out there who do have their who do have a different perspective, and it's essential to everything that we're developing and doing moving forward in regards to wrestling. So. Thank you for putting your voice out there. So,
jeez.
Yeah. All right. Now that we're done patting each other on the back, let's start talking about AEW. Full Gear, Queen, is the first AEW pay-per-view that we're getting since the onset of TV. The previous pay-per-views have all sort of been built amongst each other, you know, or through the internet, through the magic of being the elite. But this is the first one. We're about 6 weeks in, right? Since Dynamite has started. And this is the first one since regular TV. So just before we actually get into it, I think it might be, I'd like to just open up the floor and say, how do we feel about AEW at this first milestone in its history?
Wow. Well, you know what's interesting? The way you said that is exactly what I feel like most people need to really think about. This is their first pay-per-view after having weekly television program. What a difference we're probably going to get. You know, we had weeks of storyline buildup, and we're definitely going to have to talk about that. But the previous pay-per-views are all built online and via Twitter and on their YouTube shows and the Road to series, which I think did a really great job. But this is something different. Now we see their week to week storyline building towards this event. We had the first go home show. We'll have the first post pay-per-view show. That's like crazy to really think that we're at that point, because I feel like we blinked from January until now, and here we are. Up to this point, I've been really thrilled with what they've been putting out. Their match quality is just so stellar. There are some things that, you know, you can be a little nitpicky about or say, I didn't like this or that. But overall, though, I feel like they've been very solid over these 6 weeks and really showcasing what AEW is going to be and what we're going to see, especially in particular from their tag team division. That's the part that I feel like they've truly shown such a vast difference than WWE and Impact, and especially New Japan, because where's that division? Oh God, love you, Gato, but what the heck?
There's tag belts.
You know?
There's tag belts in New Japan. I just don't know who the tag teams are. Yeah,
that's very true.
That's pretty much it. But yeah, and you're absolutely right. The tag team division in AEW, I mean, they said that they were going to make something special out of it, and they did. They absolutely successfully managed to do that. I really like how everything has been presented so far. It really does feel, you know, just as on a pure presentation aspect, feeling, you know, just like those intangibles, that it really does feel like an alternative to WWE. That's how they position themselves. That's what they wanted to do. And as far as, you know, just the fact, in the number of matches that they run in an evening, the quality, the length, and the variety of talent as well that they're putting forward, it really does feel very, very different than what WWE puts on. And I like, you know, it's a very polished product, but not overly produced like WWE prides itself in, you know? And I like that. I like the idea. I like that it has a little bit of a grit, I guess, to it. And it's not like all polished and shined, and then I feel like I'm looking like at something that has 17 layers of soft blur effects on top. I'm exaggerating. That's not what WWE does, but I still I really, really dig how everything has been set up moving forward. They've already had some incredible moments, like moments where you're like, oh, okay, this is something that is defining, that has to be must see. A couple of weeks ago, I thought that the Young Bucks versus Private Party in the first round of the tag team tournament was AEW's first AEW Dynamite's must-see match. To me, that was one where, at that point, I had seen lots of good matches, but I hadn't seen one where I was like, I could call up someone who doesn't watch wrestling and says, you have to look at this. This is what wrestling is happening.
Right.
This is how wrestling works these days, Of course, we had Cody's promo this week. Does anything come to mind on your end? Is there anything that you're like, oh, this one thing, this one match in these past 6 weeks has stuck with me?
Yeah, I totally agree with you about the Private Party Young Bucks. I thought when you say it was the first must-see moment, I think that's completely spot on. It was the moment where I watched wrestling with Mr. Queen because he's gracious enough to enjoy it with me.
Queen.
And Mr. Queen, he's a nice dude.
Yes.
Yeah, but so even he was like, this is amazing. I'm like, right? And he's not really a wrestling fan. He deals with it for me. And he enjoys some things, but like he even was like, this is amazing. Like I would show this to people. And I said, that's it right there. It's that magic that they create. The other match that really has stuck with me a lot was actually on AEW Dark, which was Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela.
God damn, right?
Wow. Wow. It was so brutal. And what I loved about it the most, I think, was the fact that, Kenny could be this way, and to see him in such a different type of match, just totally unhinged. He lost it. Joey told him he'll never beat Moxley, and he just flipped his switch, and his snapdragon suplexes are some of the most beautiful things ever. And and we could talk about that in general, but what I also think and why it stuck with me so much is Joey Janela looked unbelievably great in this match with Kenny Omega, who arguably is one of the best wrestlers going right now. And just, wow, just to see that match actually happening was something I didn't think I'd say in 2019. And so that for sure has stuck with me a lot.
And then they had a rematch, but it wasn't a no holds barred match, but
no,
they had a rematch on Dynamite, which was really good as well. And
yes.
So I was like, okay, this is fantastic. Janela and Omega they really have great chemistry together. They work really, really well. So if they want to really build Janela as a main event guy, he could be really credible really quickly. We have a whole bunch of we have more people who've joined us. JPQ is here. He's jumped in. Want to say hi to Chris Matthews as well, who's jumped in. Ori on Progress is here as well. She's saying hello. All her favorite people are here. And Vase Rob Vape, friend of the show, is here as well. Ross says the only thing, an interesting comment, and I want to get your thought on this. The only thing bad about AEW is the $50 asking price, hashtag I got kids. That has been a point of contention, hasn't it? Online.
Indeed.
Go right ahead. Tell us your thoughts.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts. My first initial thought was, we haven't really had to pay for pay-per-views like this in a long time, but we used to. So this is something that's a little bit, I feel like, back to normal in a way, quote unquote normal, because that's how wrestling used to be. Your pay-per-views were expensive and you bought them like that. And then there's things like UFC and MMA fights and all of that, and they cost money as well to do. So it kind of seems not out of the realm of normal. It's a little high, but not out of the realm, I think. And I said to myself when I saw the price, well, if I went out to dinner, it'd be about that anyway.
Yeah.
So if I'm staying home instead of going out one night, then that's what I would pay. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll cook my meal at home and hang out and watch that wrestling. So I see that. And I also think it has to do with the fact, they are new. They don't have a streaming service yet. It's not per month like we're used to with other promotions, like New Japan or WWE Network or whatever you subscribe to. #Watch Stardom on Stardom World. So I just think that it's definitely very polarizing, and I totally understand that. Like, people have children to pay for, they have things that they want to do, bills to pay, and I get it, and I understand. But if they're only doing 4 to 5 pay-per-views a year, it's comparable to paying for the network for a whole year.
Right.
So it's not totally out of the realm, and that's kind of how I feel about it. What do you think?
Well, see, that's a little it's a little bit how I look at it when comparing it to what the business model in wrestling today is, which is essentially streaming service, monthly fee, have access to XYZ. Even Impact has its own streaming service with its immense library of videos with talent who were starting to make a name for themselves, right? Or who are on to bigger, better things in WWE or in AEW, and they're there. So I understand the reaction because we're not used to this anymore. We're not used to the $50 price tag. We're used to getting it easily, paying a fixed fee per month, and then having access to them without having to dig deeper in our pockets to have access to it. So I understand it because the business has changed, and the way to approach content, and not just wrestling content, like entertainment in general. Netflix, Hulu, Disney, is about to launch their thing. The way that we consume entertainment has changed dramatically. So this, and I completely understand your argument when you say, "Oh, well, it's this is what we used to do." Yes, exactly, and that's the point. This is what we used to do. But
exactly
the business, everything as far as the development of online entertainment, getting any kind of entertainment, whether it be movies or video, video, TV, whatever way whichever platform is used to get to the consumer, it's a lot less expensive. And there's more bang for your buck, ultimately by through these streaming platforms. Everyone keeps saying, well, why doesn't AEW have its streaming platform? There's no reason for them to have a streaming platform.
No.
Not just for live events. It wouldn't make sense for them. Give them a year, maybe 2 years, maybe have them buy a certain other promotion's video library and then add it to their own. Wink, wink, Ring of Honor. And then you'd have something where you could charge a monthly fee, because we're always focused on live events with these subscription services, but there's a lot more to it. There's all the on-demand content that comes with it that actually does add to the value. And the thing is that once a library of content is purchased for these companies, once it's purchased, all they have to do is recoup the cost of it, which takes whatever time they plan out, a year, 2 years, whatever it takes. And then they just have to keep getting some money into finance and make money off of their pay-per-views. Anyway, that's a whole...
Yeah, well, and the thing is too, is that I just would say we have to pack our patience a little bit. We have to remember that they are new, and you're exactly right. What are they going to put on a streaming service?
It wouldn't have,
right now, nothing.
No.
It would make no sense.
It made no sense. It's right now. Well, I mean, I've heard Mike Quackenbush talk about this at some point, and it makes perfect sense to me. A wrestling organization in 2019 does not need a television deal to exist, because it can go ahead and do its own streaming service, its own on-demand service. Eve is a good example of that. They can go ahead and do that. Sure.
Mhm.
But as he mentioned as well, it all depends on the leagues you want to play in. If you want to make money, you want to play in the big leagues and have big time cash at your disposal, well, then you do need the TV deal because that's where the big money is with the advertising and so on and so forth. But ultimately, you don't need TV to move forward. Now, AEW decided to focus on getting TV deals, on getting distribution, North America, Europe, wherever, and that's their business plan. That's fine. So in that perspective, it makes a lot more sense for them to focus on getting TV somewhere as opposed to getting TV and then parallel to that, the streaming service, because what are you going to put on the streaming service? Because then you have to negotiate the rights to put your shows on your streaming service with your distribution partners, and that's a whole other thing. Like, it's people think that, television deals and television distribution and media, they think it's really simple. Oh, you own the platform, you can do this. No, that's not how it works.
Not at all.
There's so many layers to it and intricacies. If it were simple, everyone would have TV deals. Everyone would.
Sure.
It's just that simple.
It is. You're right. I agree.
All right. Now that we've got the business talk portion out of the way of the show.
That's right.
Let's go ahead. We have more people in the chat here that jumped in. We have Metal. Can you believe that? He's here.
Metal.
I know. So that's fantastic.
It is exciting.
So let's go ahead and let's start talking about the show. We're going to run down the card. I have it pulled up here on allelitewrestling.com. And I'm going to be running down the card in reverse order of they're presented. So it's not me making an editorial. We're going to save the main event for last, of course, and we're going to move up from there. So we're going to start with the buy-in. Basically the pre-show. One match has been announced for the pre-show. We have one match available for the pre-show. Britt Baker versus Bea Priestley, who are going to be fighting. This has been, at this point in time, it's been the only feud, the only real women's feud that has been built, right? Up until this point. And I love Bea Priestley. I think she's a tremendous get for the company. Britt Baker has a lot of good stuff going for her. She was the first signee as well for AEW. So they put him in a feud. They're on the pre-show. Give me your thoughts about all of this, Queen.
Well, I'm going to first say that I would really rather and prefer this to be on the main card, and I would like Janela Spears to be on the buy-in. If I could switch it, I would. I would like more women's matches on the main card in general, but that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. But what I will say here is this feud is very hot. They've had a lot of real believable heat between them both. Bea, of course, causing a concussion for Britt Baker. At the outside venue pay-per-view, which I can't remember off the top of my brain this exact second, but that happened there. And then she gave her a black eye later. And it's just been very hot and enjoyable to see these two kind of go at it. And Bea is such a nasty little heel person when she wants to be. And it's nice to play off of Britt Baker. I'm excited for this match. I really wanted it on the main card, but alas, it's on the buy-in. Maybe it'll attract some people to watch, I hope. And for me, I really would like to see Britt lose here. I really would. Yeah, I would like to see Bea pick up the win as we're kind of moving Britt towards challenging Riho again. I'd like her to continue to struggle a little bit. I like that story. Plus, I really just like Bea Priestley in general. So there's that.
Well, Bea is fantastic. I agree. See, my vision, my opinion on pre-shows have changed quite a bit over the past years, or year maybe, where especially in WWE, where I was like, the Cruiserweight Championship is always on the pre-show, kind of thing. Why are they doing this to the Cruiserweight Champion? And then at some point, talking with people, since it is a free show, you're putting it on YouTube, and this is the final oomph, to get to get people to buy the show. Well, you want to put your best foot forward, and I think this is something that AEW has learned themselves out of putting, Nakazawa versus Jabali, which was nonsense, and no one would buy a pay-per-view after watching that, even though it was. Yeah, I kind of liked it. I thought it was silly and goofy, but there's no reason for you to buy a pay-per-view watching that match. I think AEW has understood that as well, that your pre-shows are important nonetheless. So at first I was okay, and I was like, well, you know what? Sure. If Baker and Priestley put their best foot forward, they do have, well, they have the only feud in the women's division, really. This could be interesting. However, like you said, and I'm glad you pointed it out, since suddenly out of nowhere this Tuesday, or this past Wednesday, Joey Janela and Sean Spears have a feud, like, boop, just out of nowhere. I'm like,
surprise.
Why isn't that your pre-show feud match?
Sure.
Because both guys are going to turn it on. Here's the thing, and I'm going to tread very, very lightly here. Okay, I'm going to tread very, very lightly. Janela's fantastic. Sean Spears, I think, with someone who's able to get a good match with him, I think he can shine as well. We've seen it, and I think that would have been a really good candidate to go there, because I think you have two sound values, in these two guys.
Sure.
B. Priestley's fantastic. Britt she's 60-40, Most of the time she's fine, she's good, and then there's these moments where, and this is not to say that Britt Baker is untalented. It's definitely not the case, because I like her and I think she has a lot of upside. She has been wrestling for 3 years, something like that, and she hasn't accrued as much experience as someone like Priestley has, and because she's been having her degree, and she hasn't been traveling the world because of it, and that's fine, because those are all choices that she's made. And AEW doesn't have the privilege or the opportunity of having, I should say, more the opportunity of having a performance center where they can just send their talent over to hone their talent. So I'm a little weary about how this might go, but Priestley's so I feel there could have been a swap there. If you really wanted like your best foot forward straight out the gate, well, put Spears and Janela there. Besides, it's not as if they have a feud. It's not as if they have something that's been ongoing for a while. Just put them there. That'll start off really, really well, I'm convinced. Put Baker and Priestley on the main card, if only because their feud started before Dynamite. They've been, I mean, it's been going on for probably as long as Moxley and Omega at this point. It deserves its own blow off. It would have worked well. And look, I'm looking forward to the match, and I'm sure they'll be able to, that they'll give us something good, something fun to watch. I'm looking for, and I agree with you, and chat, let us know who you think is going to win here. But I also would like B to win this one. And because I think she's right now, I think the women's division needs a big, strong heel, like a really, really Emi Sakura is not that. Love Emi Sakura, but she's not a big heel. Priestley would be fantastic. That's exactly what she is. She's main event quality. She's super talented. Plus, she's a Joshi wrestler too.
Yes, she is.
So I think it'd work,
she is.
Yeah, I think it'd work well with Rio.
That's a great point. And for me, it's really about the fact that, Britt already has established she had her failed title attempt. There's really no harm, in my opinion, of B picking up the win here. We need to give this women's division legit players, and B is one of those people. And establishing her as a dominant heel force to play off of Riho, I think is the smart move.
Yes.
That's just what I think. Given what they're doing and really not doing in the division.
So I think we are both in agreement that B Priestley should win. That's our prediction anyway, as far as, it doesn't mean we're necessarily right. In the chat, Mag says Baker's going to win. Ori says that B's going to win. Actually, she says, Ori says that B Brit have an opportunity to come in hot to help sell the pay-per-view. Janela Spears can, but without as much build, I don't think it would sell the show as well, despite how good it could be. And that's an excellent point as well, coming after Ori's coming after me. Well,
all right.
but it's a very, very salient point as well. So there we go. So we've covered the pre-show. Let's get on to the main card. First match we're going to talk about for the main card is Shawn Spears, accompanied by Tully Blanchard versus Joey Janela. Well, we've talked about it a bit here. But maybe, and we've also talked about Janela as well earlier when we were talking about the great matches that he's had with Kenny Omega so far. I think Janela is an untapped talent right now in AEW. They're having a match. The build started Wednesday.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts here. Let's just jump right in. Give me your thoughts on this match.
When Shawn Spears went after Cody with that chair, I thought they had a real potential. And when he came out that first time after that happened, dragging that chair, no music, and just coming down, and then his stuff started, I thought that was really smart. And I was like, okay, they're going to have something here with this guy. I think if they go with this nasty behavior, I think they could really be good. But since then, it's been meh, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And he's not been doing very well either. So now you're going to have him and Joey go at it. There's something, too, that happened. Like, Joey said something to Tully, and, like, Shawn got mad or something. And then there's pliers on the tongue. I don't know what's going on. But I'm just like, they've made me not really care about Shawn Spears anymore. Mm-hmm. So, like, why do I don't really care about that? And for me, I feel like if you're going to have him with Tully Blanchard, they need to find a better way to utilize that, to make Shawn go over and potentially the way they had hoped post that Cody scenario.
Yep.
I just don't want him to win. So I could see that Joey would get brutalized, but because he's lost a little bit, Joey, especially to Omega, I think it would be a nice showing for him to kind of give that pop and give one for the quote unquote the baby faces side for this evening, because I feel like we're going to get a lot of quote unquote heel victories here. So I think it might be a little bit of a positive moment for Joey to win and kind of just establish that he's a credible mid-card at this point threat.
There's a lot of people in the chat right now who are saying that Spears needs the win. That's pretty much the consensus here. Ryan Smith has joined us, by the way. How you doing, Ryan? I concur. And to me, it's a mystery to me exactly what they did, how they pivoted off of Spears like this. Spears does the chair shot thing. They pair him up with Tully Blanchard, and boy, oh boy, did they make a big deal out of that. And Blanchard brought it as well. Like the promo, that sit down interview that Spears had with JR, that we see. I just say that and you're like, yes, we all remember it because it was really, really good. That was a defining moment for Shawn Spears' character. I love the idea here that just out of one comment, just one line saying that Shawn Spears is a good hand, they were able to build a character, build a guy, give him motivation just out of nothing. And it worked. The chair shot was fantastic. The blood. But now it's all like, it's all in this limbo. It's all in this environment where you're like, I don't know. Like you said, don't know what they're doing with them anymore. They even referenced the fact that it's still the same chair. This Wednesday on Dynamite, commentary was saying the chair with the blood of Cody Rhodes still on it. And I'm like, so they're still referencing it, but Shawn Spears is sort of lost in the mix at this point, and it's very, very odd because I think that, and I think that they were on their way to building something special with him, putting him with Tully Blanchard, who's clearly not afraid to get physical and get involved in the matches. It's a really great dynamic. I agree with what most of the chat is saying. I think Shawn Spears needs the the win. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
that Janela losing so much because he's on a losing streak right now? Do you think losing so much is hurting him?
You know, I don't think so. And I agree too. I just don't want him to win, but I think he's going to win. I think he needs the win in order to keep going what they want him to do. For Joey, I think he's so over and beloved that I don't think it matters at this point. If it was to continue for a longer period of time, I'd say yes, then that's trouble. But for right now, I think he's safe enough that if he took the loss here, it would be okay. And he's an entertainment.
Yeah.
Like he's just so much fun. The presence, him versus Jimmy and Darby was just such a fun, intricate disaster, chaos, wonderfulness. And I think that shines through above everything else. I just feel sad that it has to be to Shawn Spears, especially because they haven't done anything. And just because he needs the win doesn't mean he should win, but that's not how booking goes. So can't have my cake and eat it too all the time, unfortunately.
So we're both in agreement that again, Queen, that Spears is probably going to win this, and for all the reasons we mentioned, and I'll even just add as a closing argument that Joey Janela has been looking really good in defeat, regardless, and it is possible to look good even if you're losing. So I'm not worried about the bad boy from New Jersey just yet, not just yet. Now, let's talk about the three-way for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. The very first champions, SCU, Scorpio Sky and Franklin Kazarian. That's his name.
Franklin.
Versus the Lucha Bros and Private Party, who were added this week. Queen, I'm going to go right ahead. Private Party got bronze medals, right? Right?
They did. Yes.
Why was it? Where were Lucha Bros silver medals? Why weren't they wearing their second place medals?
Because they don't need no stinking second place medals. They're the goddamn Lucha Brothers. That's why.
That was the funniest thing.
It was so funny.
For third place, and the ref holds up the medals. I'm like, who wants to wear those?
Not me.
Who's gonna wear? Are Private Party really gonna wear? If Private Party wear them to the ring, I am going to scream laughing. It is the funniest thing. And the Lucha, because that was the first thing that popped into my mind. Where are Lucha Bros second place medals, and why isn't that around their necks? I just thought it's funny, but I understand what they were doing, giving stakes to the match. They wanted to add a third team here, which is I prefer a match with stakes over anything else. Mm-hmm. Just give me a reason why these guys are fighting. So Private Party are into place here. SCU, Lucha Bros, Private Party. Private Party probably, well, I'm going to lead you in, but then you can say, no, Warren, you're wrong. But I think we're going to be in agreement. Private Party, within the first 6 weeks here of AEW Dynamite, probably AEW's first successful homegrown built talent as far as
100%.
As far as popularity, as far as just getting them over. I think right now we can call this a success story.
Oh my God, yeah. 100%. 100%. It's such a delight to have watched these past 6 weeks to see how much the crowd has gotten behind Private Party. I had the pleasure of seeing them in the Indies a couple months ago over the summer, and they bring the same caliber that they bring on the screen, and that's what matters, to me as a fan, that they are exactly the same in a gym with 100 people as they are in AEW in front of all of those thousands, and they are truly over.
Yes,
and it's absolutely the best thing ever, and I would like to cheers my non-existent 24 ounces of vodka cran. I don't have it right now, but maybe later.
But exactly, 100% over, and the young bucks obviously saw it, and mm-hmm. lost in the first round, which was the smartest thing to do. This is one thing that AEW has to do, because they're a fledgling company, because, you know, you can't necessarily take into consideration that everyone who watches AEW knows who these people are. They're building stars. Mm-hmm. They're building new stars. Yeah. Last night on SmackDown, the main event ended with Baron Corbin being assisted by Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode to help out defeat Roman Reigns. And I'm like, what is this? It feels like I'm back in like we just popped back a year ago, 2018, and they're sitting on so many people. And here, I love that they pulled the trigger on it, and that they just went full steam ahead with Private Party. This is what they need to do. Gonna tell you that I'm glad that I'm glad they put the belts on SCU. This is something I want to hear you about. I'm glad they put the belts on SCU to start things off.
I am too. I really am. I mean, listen, I'll be real. I would have been happy either way because the Lucha Brothers. But I think the story of SCU and the way that they're just a solid stable and a solid team. And you can rely on them. And they have relied on them heavily in their pay-per-views to kick off their show. They're charismatic. They're great in the ring. Scorpio Sky is underrated. I feel like he doesn't get enough attention, in my opinion. He's nasty. He's so good.
He's a superstar.
Even with no shoes.
He's a superstar. This is the guy. This is the guy that once Kazarian and Daniels finally are like, we can't do this anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
He's a superstar. Like, he legitimately looks like $1 million. He's smooth. He's so good in the ring. Like, if they ever wanted to pull like a real New Day thing where you have one guy branch off to run for a singles title, it should be him. He is so good. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what's funny that you say that too? Remember the promo after Jericho won the title and he was in the back saying that, you know, no one was caring, there's no champagne, there's no whatever, you know, flowers, nothing happening. And he looked right at Scorpio Sky and he said, Scorpio Sky, you'll never get your hands on this. Yeah. And at that moment, I was like, I don't know if that was purposeful or he just happened to see his face and did his like improv. But I was like, there it is, folks. Can you imagine? That's what I want in my life.
You just plant it.
Just to see, plant it. And I was like, yes, boo. Yes.
This should be a fun match. It should all the elements are there for this to be a banger. A lot of people are calling for SCU to retain. What say ye? Queen of NE. See, I do rhymes. I spit bars sometimes.
I like that. You spit bars sometimes. The Queen of NE says SCU to retain all the way.
So does Mr. Warren Hayes up in Warren Hayes HQ in the cold, frozen north. Next, let's talk about Hangman Page versus Pac. I hate that this is the official North American pronunciation of it now. I dislike it.
I do too.
Pac.
I hate it.
This is another look. We were talking about Britt Baker being one of the longest feuds. Britt Baker and B. Priestley being one of the longest feuds in the company. Mm-hmm. Moxley versus Moxley and Omega being one of the longest. This one has been on since the very first press conference, Queen.
Correct.
And
since day one-ish, literally.
Exactly. And Hangman challenged for the title first and foremost. Didn't quite work out for him. He's been in a bit of an up and down scenario, but still has a great winning record nonetheless, and he's fantastic. What else can we say about Pac that people haven't already gushed on before? He's who he is. And this is going to be their official television blow off, because they did have that match when Pac was unable to attend. Was it Double or Nothing? I think.
Mm-hmm.
So this is their TV blow off, I guess, of their feud. How do you feel about Hangman Page versus Pac?
This is Pac. For me, it just sounds like someone from Boston talking Pac. So, no offense, I love Boston. But anyway, listen, this match is going to be great. I think if, like I always say when I see them wrestle, if they can give what they gave in England when they had that match because he wasn't coming when he was still Dragon Gate champion, it'll be magic. However, I don't really need this right now. It's something I don't need. Yes, they have a long-standing feud, but it's not something that needs to be revisited at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And like I get it. Pac should be on a pay-per-view. I'm fine with that. That's not my problem. I think my problem is what they're going to do here. And for me, you know, Hangman I feel like is good and I like him a lot, but he still has some ways to go. So I feel like Pac, sorry,
Pork.
needs to win here more because I think he needs to keep rolling. They positioned him as a top guy.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like he belongs. He walks like he belongs. It's the perfect heel that you want in your life. Hangman's great, but they have to do a bit more with him to get him to his level. And just saying I'm going to do some cowboy shit isn't really enough for me to believe that you're going to take out Pac. It's just not.
To me,
So
and what is,
I don't know.
like, maybe this is because
What does that mean? Should we ask Anthony?
I mean, I was gonna say, you know, we do have cowboys here in Canada, out in Alberta. There's, you know, there's all sorts of cowboys. So, but what is cowboy shit? Like, what is he gonna do? Like, is he going to milk cows? Because that's what cowboys did. That it's not just gunslinging and lassos. You know, there's a lot of grind to being a cow. I don't know what that even means, to be perfectly honest. A lot of people in the there's a lot of Page win, Pac win. There's in the chat clearly a lot of people are thinking that Page is going to win here. Vase Rob asks a very pertinent question: is Hangman over?
No.
I don't think he's over.
Not as much as I think they want.
There you go. That's what I was going to say. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't.
He's over enough, but it's not. I don't think where they want him to be over.
I think Luchasaurus is more over than he is.
I would agree with you
I think so.
on that. Yes, I think so.
I think he is. But I mean, it's not a question of talent. It's all a question of booking. You know what I think is going to happen here? I'm going to go right in with my prediction here.
Oh.
I think Pac is winning it because I think what they're going to do with Hangman is give him a bit of a redemption run. I think they're going to have him hit the bottom as far as being at the bottom, like in the upper mid card of AEW is, but they're
not a bad spot to be.
Nah, exactly. As far as the bottom goes, I could hang on. I could bottom feed there for a while.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to give him a bit of a redemption arc, and they're going to stretch this out, and they're going to use it to build him on TV properly. And not to say that I've been prescient, like I'm some kind of wrestling Nostradamus, but in the build up to All Out, when I did the predictions and everything, anytime that I had an opportunity to talk about it, I said Chris Jericho is going to win the title, and this is not even, we can't even consider the opposite, because you're starting your television. Most people will not know. New viewers coming into TV will not know who Hangman Page is, because as much as we are the hardcore fans and we follow stuff, Ring of Honor, New Japan, it's niche for the North American audience. Not everyone knows who Hangman Page is. There's a much bigger chance that the casual wrestling fan will know who Chris Jericho is. And this is still the case here. They want Page to be a star, a main event star, and he has all the tools to do it. He's under 30. He's not even in his 30s yet. He has so many years of fantastic wrestling to give yet. It's fine if they take their time with him and build him into a superstar. He's just not there yet. Give it to Pac.
Yep.
Give Pac another big quality win, because let's not forget that Pac has a winning record, but he's defeated very, very top-notch stars in the company, so that he can come and start bitching about his world championship shot. I'm all for that.
Me too.
What are your predictions, Queen?
I say Pac is winning, and I totally agree about Hangman. If they've made it clear that they want him to be the guy, or at least one of the guys in their company. It's just going to take a while to get there, and they have to do it right. They have to build him correctly, because if he doesn't get over, really over, he needs it, but it's going to take a few months. So, and I just don't see Pac Pac being Hangman's fall guy right now. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So Pac all the way.
Dave says, in American lore, cowboys carried guns, got into bar fights, rode horses. They were heroes in a lot of movies. I know that's what it means. I'm just kind of being silly saying that I don't understand what cowboy shit means. I know what I know what it implies. I'm just like, well, being a cowboy was a lot of hard work, really.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Ori in the chat says there was this whole thing where Paige looked like he was turning sour on the Elite, and that seems to have disappeared. But we know they love to play with the long-term storylines. That's a very good point. I really like that in being the Elite when he was like being pissy with the Bucks and like, oh, why don't you go to your EVP locker room? It's a that's a good point. That could be something that would help get him over too. Why not a heel Hangman? Sometimes a heel turn can do wonders. It can do wonders before coming back.
Sometimes it can. I think these little New Japan seeds, though, Warren. I do.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think so too.
Dropping little things. It's not going to happen yet, but it will. Pay attention, people. They drop stuff all the time.
The Young Bucks take on Proud and Powerful. Excuse me. Santana and Ortiz, the former incarnation of LAX. Bit of a dream match here. This is something that a lot of people were excited about the very minute it had leaked online that Santana and Ortiz's contracts were up with Impact. They're like, they only have one place to go. It's AEW. They have to fight the Bucks. That's all we need in life. I'm excited about this, to be really honest. Queen.
Me too. I've been waiting for this for so long. I can't wait. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. I mean, these are teams that are going to be able to play off of each other's strengths. They have very similar styles. Well, in the sense that they have complete disregard for their bodies.
Yeah, right. Well, there's that.
The Young Bucks and the Young Bucks are great. The of course. And so are Santana and Ortiz. I mean, it's going to be a straight up fight, and there's going to be flippy shit. There's going to be a lot of power moves. I think they're going to play off of each other really, really well.
I think so too. It definitely is going to have their spots, and poor Nick's mother is probably going to go Nick at the screen again while she's watching him do crazy flippy things and some makes us nervous. What are you doing, Nick? But it's going to be wonderful. This is really truly what a lot of us who love tag team wrestling have been waiting for. This is the moment here. While Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers have been excellent, it's been done a lot. This is the time for something new and fresh and sought after. This is like, ooh, good lordy. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. And I hope they kick off the pay-per-view, actually.
Yeah, that would get the crowd started, wouldn't it?
Sure would.
I think the interesting story here to just close this one off is the Bucks. Clearly, they don't have a losing record by any stretch of the imagination, but they haven't been dominant. They haven't been winning all their matches. They've been losing very select fights. How do you? I mean, this will lead into the prediction, obviously, but they put over Private Party. They had during one of the pay-per-views. Again, don't remember which one. I think it might have been not Fight for the Fallen, but I think it was or Fighter Fest. I don't quite recall. Where they lost to the Lucha Bros as well. Clearly, going forward, no one is really worried about the Bucks losing big matches. Should we be worried that they're losing big matches?
It's a great point. And I kind of go back and forth on this. Because on one hand, I'm like, no, actually, I kind of like that they're not dominating in the company right now. Because it's something so atypical to what we're used to for those of us who followed them elsewhere. This is like not what happens. So I kind of like it. I kind of want to see what happens if they have some conflict and adversity.
Right.
I really do enjoy that. And for me, I think with the establishment of the Inner Circle as a faction, at first it was kind of like, oh, here's Chris Jericho and he's building a faction to protect himself. But now it's gotten so over and it's great. And that little vignette that they made on this week's episode of AEW Dynamite was
Yes,
perfection. And for me, I think they have to be dominant here across the board
I think so.
for the Inner Circle to be legit, especially because they are largely unfamiliar to the wider AEW audience. Of their body of work anyway. I think that they need it here.
I agree.
Like we were saying for Sean Spears, I think Proud and Powerful need it here.
Mags in the chat says exactly that. He says the Bucks are the closest to bulletproof and definitely don't need the win. EYFBO and the Inner Circle need to keep up their momentum, and I think that's what they need to do. Ryan Smith says, I like how the Bucks have lost some matches recently. I think you send Proud and Powerful, but not Proud. I can't remember.
Proud and Powerful. I know it's hard.
I'm just Santana and Ortiz. That would work too.
Yeah.
I think you send Pride and Powerful at SCU after they beat the Bucks, in my opinion. That's a very interesting booking idea. I think Santana and Ortiz win this one. It just makes sense. It makes sense for the Bucks to continue to put over tag teams and keep building the division. Right now, the tag team division it's close. It's as perfect as anything we have right now. It's entertaining. It's it's entertaining. It's exciting, and they have teams that we care about.
Yeah, I agree. Well said.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So Santana and Ortiz go over here, and then we're gonna move on to the AEW Women's World Championship match: Riho versus Emi Sakura. Here's the thing. This is another feud situation that popped up earlier this week when they announced the match. I think it was last weekend or early this week. Can't quite recall. Popped up on Twitter. Oh, this is happening. Emi versus Riho. Oh, okay. And then they had the one match on Wednesday where Emi went over. But and on one hand, this is another one where it's like, oh, the feud sort of pops out of nowhere. But on the other hand, when you go back into the history of these two, Queen, there's a lot of history and very compelling history. Something upon which could something that I kind of feel was a missed opportunity by AEW, because there was just so much rich history between the two of them here that could have been used to play up the feud a lot more.
Oh, I 100% agree. The fact that she was her mentor and teacher, and the fact that Riho has been wrestling since she was 9, and the very, God, just that fact that they worked together alone and Emi taught her what she knows. There's so much that you could have done with that, but Emi would have needed to be present for some, a little bit more than she has been, and then would have needed to do a lot more internet type of work in terms of like videos and segments and things to kind of push that narrative, because she hasn't really been around. But when they have been around, when she has been here, they have mentioned that she was the one that trained her, she was the one that taught her, and they have all this rich history together. And of course, Emi is a freaking legend in Joshi wrestling. So, and that's something that not everybody knows. And I totally agree. This is a missed opportunity. If this is where you were going to go, where was the build for this? It feels so last minute, because it was, but also like, if that was your plan and you knew that you were going to get to this point, you should have done more, and it would have been better than what we have at this junction. I feel like it's a wasted opportunity.
Yes, just to give some proper glow to the title, to the match in about itself. I think it's definitely a missed opportunity. The match in about itself won't be a missed opportunity. I think it's going to be.
Oh no, it'll be great.
I think it's going to be. Going to be a good time. But you do touch on something, and I don't necessarily want to get into it because I've talked about it enormously on my streams every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, live here on YouTube.com. That. As much as we just glowed about the tag team division, the women's division, it's a mess. And I think
a whole mess.
And I think that I think that this is clearly reactionary booking, where they're like, well, we have to do something. I think this is the only this is the only plausible reason that comes to mind as to why this was just like, poof, it just appeared out of nowhere. Ooh.
Yeah.
That it's just like, oh, well, we have to put two women together. We have to have the women's championship on the card. What do we do? Sakura. Because they knew, I guess, at some point, it's like, well, we know at least the match is going to be, the match has the potential to be special, you know?
It does. Absolutely does. That's definitely not the point I think that we're worried about. The match is going to be fine.
Sure.
And there's no issues with that. I think it'll be excellent. It's going to be a really good showcase. However, it's saddening to me that this is where we're at with this whole entire division. And yeah, I don't want to harp on it either because that's another day, another conversation. But I don't want to have a match just to have a match. I want a match for the title to mean something, like you've put for Cody and Jericho. They've built that feud. They've fueled that feud. People who weren't going to buy the pay-per-view are considering buying the pay-per-view because of Cody's promo. Why don't we have that for the women's championship? It should be the exact same clout and push.
Absolutely.
That's just how I feel.
And you know, maybe we're on an uptick as far as the women's division goes. You know, they did sign Big Swole earlier this week, which is a tremendous get. Mercedes Martinez has been on AEW TV twice now. I can only cross my fingers that they sign her, because I've said it before on my show, and I'll say it here as well. If you are looking to have someone who is a legitimate ring general, who is someone who can pass on knowledge, who can help accompany women in a division, who can do a dual role as a locker room leader, a trainer, and a performer. Did I say dual role? That's a triple role. Mercedes is your woman. She's the most experienced independent wrestler out there right now. She's at the She Won right now today, by the way. It's stunning to me that AEW hasn't picked her up yet, but I mean, you could say that with a bunch of women that they had it all out, and like, why haven't they gobbled up all these women yet? But
I would love for them to get her. In particular, I would love for her to show up and join the Inner Circle. Ooh. That's what I would like. First female Inner Circle member.
And she'd fit in so well.
So well. It would be dope.
That is just got shivers. That would be.
Wouldn't you just love that?
I would. Towering over Sammy Guevara, that'd be great.
Yes. Oh, it'd be so good. She could just pat him on the head in his little weird haircut.
Yeah, exactly. Good job, little man.
I love it. Yeah, that's right.
Who's winning this? Who's winning? Riho? Does she retain, or is it Emmy? Who wins this? God damn it!
Oh, and still, of course, Riho.
Yes, I think it's an end still.
Mm-hmm.
Lights out. Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega.
Lights out.
It's been building for a while here. Queen, it's going to be wild.
Oh, it'll be wild. Now, here's I'm going to say my negative first so I can gush about Kenny Omega. Okay, my negative first is I don't like that this is probably going to close the show because they have to do the lights out and then pretend that, we're changing everything by turning off our lights and then turning them back on. Whatever. Do what you got to do. I don't like that. However, this is going to be bloody. This is going to be ultra violent. This is going to be insane. There's going to be a barbed wire bat and a barbed wire broom. # dark cleaner is coming to play. There's going to be an enormous amount of GCW, CZW, dirty, gritty, nasty, bloody. I can't wait. I'm really excited for that. Beyond excited.
It should be a good time. I'm still wondering just how far, give me some thoughts on this. AEW currently has some of the most hardcore or wrestlers who are recognized for their hardcore work out there. They have Jimmy Havoc, they have Janela, and they have, Jon Moxley. If you only know Dean Ambrose, you'll be like, he's not that hardcore. But you go back.
The other stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
And they still haven't pushed the envelope yet. We haven't seen Jimmy Havoc has had too many matches without an abrasion. You know what I mean? So,
Well, he did have the tacks in his mouth, duct taped.
well,
There was
yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah.
And a skateboard full of thumbtacks and
Sure.
stuff.
But I mean,
But it's not as much. I know what you mean.
how far do you think they will go with this? Because they do have sponsors. They do have TNT. Like, to me, this is... Well, I want your thoughts on this. What do you think? How far do you think they're ready to go?
I think they really need to go here. I think they have to go for it. Moxley has been hyping up with huge expectations of extreme violence. He's already told Tony Khan to his face behind closed doors and in public that Kenny Omega's blood is on your hands. I'm not responsible now. You've made it unsanctioned. You want me to be crazy? Fine, I'll go. I'll be crazy. So he needs to deliver on that promise. We need to see something that's shocking. Now, I know they have sponsors. I know they're on television, but this is a pay-per-view. This is a little bit different. Mm-hmm. They can play a little bit more here. And I think in order to get the most bang for their buck, they have to go there. That barbed wire that they've been teasing needs to have a payoff.
Well, I am in 100% agreement with everything you just said. There's been too much hype that this is going to be ultra violent, and they have to pull it off. They just, there must be blood.
There just has to be. Must be blood. We must have it.
Who wins though, Queen?
Oh, this is a tough one for me because I never root against my boy Kenny Omega ever. Even though when I knew, like, back when he was fighting Okada, he was going to lose, I still rooted for him anyway. But it's okay. I never do. However, this is the first time on record that I am publicly going against Kenny Omega and picking Jon Moxley here. It's the right decision.
Clip this, everyone. Put it on the internet. Clip it.
I'm so sorry, Kenny. Don't hate me. I love you so much.
Snitch tag Omega on it.
No, don't. Don't do it to me. I don't mean it. I just feel like it's such a good booking decision for him to win this. And I know it doesn't count, whatever, but like it still counts. And with Kenny's story and his character and his teasing of just not being quite right and something's going on with him, I think this would be a great catalyst to push the envelope for his character moving forward and to go for his own redemption arc, because I think down the road he's the one to take the belt from Jericho.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with Moxley winning here. I'm gonna add here. I really like how 2 weeks ago Moxley was really pissed that the match was going to be unsanctioned and that the win wouldn't count. I like it. I like it because AEW said that wins and losses were going to matter, that they were going to be important. So to have a top guy be pissed about it and be concerned about it, I think it's good. It adds to his motivation in this match, like you said. He told Tony Khan, well, Omega's blood is on your hands, boy. It's just that simple. This is on you, buddy. You want to make this match unsanctioned? Well, okay, I'll give you unsanctioned. And I like it. This is what we were touching on at the beginning when we were talking about where we're at with AEW. It doesn't take much in wrestling to tell a compelling story, one that you can get. It doesn't take much. It just takes logic and little tidbits to make us understand the psychology and motivations of the wrestlers that we're supposed to get behind. They don't have to have girlfriends fucking other men and making out with them on stage for us to care. All we need is logical in-ring stories and to make us care. I care more about this now, quite honestly, now that I know that Moxley has a problem with it, then now I'm compelled to see where this goes and what's going to happen after.
100%.
So there we go. Moxley wins according to Queen, according to Hayes. Now we're going to move on to the main event. AEW, or at least, well, the big one.
The big one.
AEW World Championship. Le Champion.
Le Champion.
Chris Jericho versus Cody. This has been a fun build. The only, my low light is the contract signing, but that's because I have a natural visceral
aversion,
dislike of contract signings. I think they're stupid, they're boring, and it's sloppy, lazy creative. But so I call out WWE every time they do it. AEW is no different. But other than that, this has been tons of fun. And not only has it been tons of fun, it peaked this Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Cody's legend of a promo.
Yeah, it was
Jericho's
great.
parody video. The greatest thing. Because between you and I thought Cody's video, the one that Jericho was parodying, I thought it was a little self-congratulatory. I thought it was very self-sufficient. It was a little cringe. I didn't like it all that much. I was like, it's a little too much. It's a little too much, and I'm not behind you, Cody. So I like that Jericho sat down and actually made fun of it, and it takes away so much of the arrogance I felt from that video. It's just, okay, well, at least now they take a step back and they're ready to laugh at themselves. And I'm okay with that. You know, it's like, yeah, maybe we did do a little too much. And look, I thought this was great. I was thrilled to learn through that video. You know, wrestling is all about learning things. And I was thrilled to learn that Chris Jericho is the youngest AEW world champion of all time.
What an accolade.
I know.
Can you believe that?
That's something you can never, that you won't be able to take away from him until someone younger wins it. But still.
But until that point, Warren, he's the youngest goddamn AEW champion in history. Give the man a thank you.
Yes. Where's his thank you on top of that?
That's right.
This has been, I really like this. And Jericho, my God, has leaned into it so well. He's enjoying himself. You can tell.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this has been, right, Queen? This has been a great, great feud.
It's been a great feud. It got really hot when Cody went up with his version of the Inner Circle to attack Jericho in the glass little box there. I thought that is when it really started to take off. And I don't really like contract signings either. However, when Chris Jericho comes out with his stunning shades and that deep purple with jack-o'-lantern blazer,
right?
I just was like, this just made everything better,
Kristen,
because it's just the ultimate FU, and it's the best.
Kristen, did you hear this? That the pumpkin jacket was great. Queen confirms.
It was great. Sorry, Kristen, but I loved it. It just was so perfect, and it just so arrogant. It just fit so great with the narrative, and you know, there's nothing like a great Chris Jericho promo. But I will say, Cody came out with this promo this week. And like I said earlier when we were talking about it, it has sold people who weren't buying the pay-per-view to buy the pay-per-view. Yep. They did their job with this promo. And Cody is at his best when he's just being himself. And just, that's it. And when he ever goes, "You stupid dick," I was like, oh my God. I stood up out of my chair like, finally, this is what I wanted from Cody. This fire promo.
We're not even, it's not even hyperbole here. It's right. It was a legendary promo. Like, it is up there with some of the greatest. Right. I saw a lot of people compare it to Hard Times Baby, his father's, but yes, it's right up there. It's one that you're going to remember. And you're right. This is the kind of promo that sells pay-per-views. It is exactly the kind of promo that sells pay-per-views. By God, it was good. And can you imagine then being one of the talent backstage looking at this, and it's your boss there? You know, let's say you're Jungle Boy or Janela or, whoever. And they're looking at that and they're like, well, that's the bar, boys.
Yeah, I can imagine that's exactly what happened. That's the bar, boys. All right, better get it together.
The boss knows what he's talking about. Exactly, Yep. How does this match go? We have judges. It's a 60-minute match. 60-minute time limit. We have a panel of 3 judges. How is this going? What? What happens here, Queen?
Oh, man, Warren. Okay, I've been stressing about this because whenever they put out this stipulation, I had flashbacks and terrible feelings about the Hell in a Cell poll they put out about there's no other way to win at Hell in a Cell. But what if there was like a DQ? And I was like, God damn it. That's what's going to happen. So then I'm like, shit, they're going to use a stipulation. And listen, no offense. Jericho is the GOAT, greatest of all time. I love him. He's on my Mount Rushmore. Shout out to
Sure.
Mags. Love the man. But I cannot sit through 60 minutes of Chris Jericho versus Cody. I just can't do it. For me personally,
No.
they both step out of the ring way too goddamn much.
And because we've seen even 20 minutes of Jericho in New Japan, against Naito. Good match, fantastic match, but Jericho stalls. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He stalls a lot, and I mean, he's up there. He's not the Lionheart anymore. He doesn't have the cardio that he once had. No. So of course he's going to pace himself. I know no one wants to sit through 60 minutes of Chris Jericho stalling. I love him, and the stalling would probably be a lot of fun, but I'm not there to watch him stretch on a match. Stall.
Right. And that's definitely what I don't want. And I don't want these judges. I'm honestly hoping that they don't use this stipulation tonight. I really just don't want them to do it, because I just would, like I called out WWE for the same thing. I would call them out for the same thing. I'm equal opportunity shit on things that suck. And this for me would suck. Now, in the way that if it does happen, the only thing that would make me happy, just me personally, is if one of the panel of judges turns out to be a secret Inner Circle member and they vote for Jericho to retain and they join the Inner Circle that way.
The judges haven't.
That would be the only thing that would make it understandable, I guess.
The judges haven't been announced, right?
No, they haven't. Right. And it's happening today. So he said on the press call yesterday that it was going to be familiar faces.
Right. And yes, but
that's all we know.
Not the makeup artists like they had that one time in TNA when they had a judges match.
Right. We're not going to get a makeup artist, I don't think. I think we're going to get credible people. I just think if they do it, it has to be done correctly. What I'm hoping though is we don't have to go there, but I have a feeling it might. What do you think?
I think okay, I'm going to lean into my prediction here because it ties in. I don't think Cody's winning the title. And I think honestly, right up until the promo this week, I thought Cody was going to win. But
did you?
And then I heard the promo and I was like, my God, this is so good. He's losing.
Yeah.
Because of the stipulation, because of the promo. Cody Rhodes does not need to win the world championship to be over in his company. No. He doesn't. He really, 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 really doesn't. And they can backtrack that at any given moment. Have a Royal Rumble. And Cody has to win the Royal. He wins, not a Royal Rumble, but
they can get out of it.
They can get out of never challenging for the title. There's no such thing as never in wrestling. No. China was never supposed to be in the Hall of Fame. Well, there you go. So Cody can do whatever he wants, and I really think he's not going to win. Now, how do you make it happen? Do you have Chris Jericho actually go over him clean? Chris Jericho doesn't need to go over clean, and it actually makes sense for Chris Jericho to win through nefarious means because he's a dick. Yeah. That's what he does. So I'm okay with him winning the title in a screwy way, which is kind of how I think we're leaning into the judges here. Because I agree. Yeah. I think the best way for this to be a heart-wrenching loss for Cody is to lose by judges is to lose by decision. Right. And it'll be a gut-wrenching, awful way of doing it. But then Cody next week on Wednesday can pop up, say, you know what? Okay, look, it happened. These are the rules. Brush it off and then move on to his other feud.
Sure. And I think, too, what would make it even more heartbreaking is if it looks like Cody should be winning, right? That the match should definitely go in his favor, and we should have an new champion, no doubt. And then they get screwed at the last minute. And I totally agree.
I love your idea.
I totally agree.
I love your idea of there being...
I want it to be somebody cool. I really do. I want it to be that way because then it would make sense. And then we can get out of it in some way down the line. I actually would like to wait. I'd like Cody to wait a year. I would like him to wait a year.
Now,
of not being near the title for them to figure it out.
I'm going to tell you, the only thing that throws a monkey wrench into my prediction here is Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, indeed.
That's the only thing that tosses a monkey wrench here, because do you send your AEW champion over to New Japan for effectively, let's be honest with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Tanahashi's winning. Yeah.
Obviously.
So do you do that? Does AEW care?
So that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I'm going to posit to you, does AEW care about that? It's Chris Jericho. It's the champion, but it's Tanahashi. Yeah. Okay? Does that ultimately matter in the AEW's mindset for where they're taking Jericho? I don't think it does.
I don't. You know what? We're about to find out.
No offense to Tanahashi. It's not. I don't mean it like that. I just don't think that they. I don't think that they care enough.
We're about to find out. We're about to find out if they care. I mean, honest to God, and you know, there's rumors, there's prattling. You know, like, well, are New Japan and AEW going to work together and so on? You know, I don't think so because of the New Japan of America thing that's been announced. But I mean, look. It's a whole new landscape of wrestling. We don't know what's going on or what can happen. But could you imagine Chris Jericho coming out to his match at Wrestle Kingdom with the AEW title around his belly?
Hell yeah. That's a statement. Whether he wins or loses, Warren, you're right.
That'd be just crazy. And I know a lot of people are saying, you know, oh, well, the New Japan relationship with AEW is impossible because Kenny Omega works a lot with DDT. Kenny Omega worked with DDT even when he was with New Japan. He went over there and had matches with DDT as well. It's not, to me, that's not a deal breaker. I think the New Japan of America thing is a little iffier. That could create some possible tensions. And we don't know how the Elite ended their relationship with New Japan either. We don't. We don't.
Right.
But you can tell that there is some form of goodwill. No one has crapped on anyone. You know, Cody and the Bucks, and they've all taken shots at WWE. Took 0 shots at New Japan. But then again, I think they're smart to not rile up the hardcore internet fan base by saying, you know, New Japan, when we were there, there's no water backstage. There was just sparkling water or something. You know, so I'm curious. That's the only thing that is kind of my, you know, the little demon in the back of my head here saying, yeah, but Chris Jericho is fighting Tanahashi in January. Maybe he's going to lose.
Yeah, but boy, would he look great with that belt around his waist rolling into New Japan. I'm just saying.
And it would just...
It's a great visual.
And then that kicks off to 2020. That kicks off 2020.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Correct.
So, are we both in agreement that Jericho's winning? I know I said so.
Yeah. Jericho's going to win. There's probably going to be some shenanigans as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jericho's going to win.
Yeah, I think the Nightmare family is going to get involved. I think the Inner Circle is going to get involved. There's going to be, maybe that's how we're going to stretch it out to 60 minutes. Maybe we're going to have 5 minutes of MJF and Sammy Guevara just beating the hell out of each other too. You know, like.
Yeah, could be.
Referee's discretion, right? Referee's discretion.
That's true.
We don't.
That's very true.
Could be a lot of stuff going. I think it's going to be a shenanigans-filled match, but as long as, you know, there's always that fine line. Is it going to be overbooked or not? But hey, we'll see what happens because it's in a couple of hours, Queen.
Oh my gosh, Warren, it is. I'm so excited.
We're on the way, and we're going to wrap this one up. So overall, do you think from top to bottom, good show, average show, bad show?
Good show. I would posit great show. I think this one has the potential to be their best show this year, period.
I think so too. I think it has all the elements to make it happen. And I think people are going to be even more invested in it because there is the weekly television. And this is a big milestone for them.
Sure.
Probably bigger than All Out, if you ask me. This is a big one for them. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a good to great show as well. look, it cannot be bad. Not with the talent they have there.
I agree.
It just can't suck. It cannot. So, we're going to wrap this one up. Queen, thank you very much for being here. Let the good folks know out there in internet land where they can get acquainted with your internet wrestling content.
Well, Warren, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me on today. I've had a lovely time hanging out with you, chatting AEW Full Gear, and just enjoying chatting wrestling with you. I always like to talk with you, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You guys can find me at the Queen of NE on Twitter, which is where all of my stuff is. You could find links, of course, to everything, but my show, Queen's Court, every single Wednesday on all major podcast platforms. You just search it, and it's there. And, of course, DYWTSB every single Friday and Sunday. Warren, thank you so much again.
Well, I can't thank you enough for accepting and coming over and doing this on this fine Saturday morning. I really, really do appreciate it. I love your stuff. I love everything you do. I wish I could jump into your live streams more often, Queen, but you do them so early.
I know, it sucks. I know. It's like the worst because my schedule, but I'm hoping that changes. I'm hoping it's going to be later in the evening on Tuesdays now. So we'll work it out.
We'll work it out. We'll find a way. But
Yes.
do go follow Queen. Check out everything she does. She's fantastic. She has always great takes on wrestling. Of course, the wrestling fashion is kind of her thing as well, but she's a great voice, a voice we need more of. And as for me, well, you guys know all the deal. I will be back Wednesday over on Fightful at youtube.com. There's too many social media. YouTube.com.
I know, that's a lot.
Yeah. YouTube.com/Fightful for the Wednesday Night Wars podcast with Sean Ross Sapp and Alex Pulowski. And then back here on Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. We'll likely be talking about this show and many, many other things. Guys, go check out the She One over on YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Eve. They're streaming their second show later today. You don't want to miss it. It's the G1, but for ladies, and they've got a whole bunch of fantastic stuff as well. Kristen had been talking about it in the chat as we were going along. Millie McKenzie versus Nicole Savoy. That must have been nice. That must have been very nice. So go check it out.
Was it very?
Yeah. So go check it out. Queen, thank you again for joining me today. Thank you everyone for joining us live here in the chat this morning. And enjoy Full Gear. We'll see you next time.